Mac Harman, the founder and the CEO of Balsam Brands. Mac, it's good to talk to you on CNBC. We were having a conversation on the phone, and you said it's an issue that's really keeping you up at night. Why?
Well, the uncertainty of the tariffs has been something we've been thinking about for a long time, but with just a couple social media posts the other day, it has sent our team into crisis management mode of what are we going to do to manage these potential 10% tariffs on China, 25% tariffs on Mexico. So we've had to jump into action heading into our biggest weekend of the year, where what we really want to be focused on is how do we bring joy to customers as they shop this weekend. We do 13, 14, 15% of our sales over the next 5 days.
Okay, so how many of your products that you sell on Balsam Hill through either the catalog or online, how many come from Mexico and how many come from China?
So a small amount come from Mexico. It's a place that we invested under the last Trump administration, but the uncertainty over it has made it hard for us to really justify investing more capital in plants there. And Mexico also is just a higher labor wage rate for us. So the vast majority of our products, we actually source from countries all over the world, even Europe. A lot of what we make is made by artisans, but the vast majority of what we sell are Christmas trees, and those are mostly coming out of China. So the 10% tariff, some people think it might be bigger. That is a big threat to our business. And what's so interesting about it is if you think of our industry, artificial Christmas trees, it's really born out of the fact that Americans don't want to string lights on their trees. The biggest reason people go artificial, and 4 out of 5 homes have artificial trees, is because they don't like putting the lights on. It's just much more convenient. They've actually never been made here. So this isn't a product that's going to come back here.
Wait, do you think you can't even pay Americans to put lights on trees?
No, and 20 years ago, some artificial trees were made here, but when the industry went pre-lit, Americans are like, I don't like doing this for my own tree at home. I certainly don't want to sit for 8 hours a day and put lights on trees. And so we really exist because we've outsourced this to lower cost areas where people take the time to meticulously put the lights on the tree so that we can focus on decorating it and celebrating Christmas rather than stringing lights on trees.
Hey, Mac, it's Dom. I'm one of those households that has an artificial tree, begrudgingly, but I do have one for the convenience factor, as you point out. One of the things that happens this time of year is a lot of advertisement on things like the Hallmark Channel. I know because my wife and my mother-in-law are massive Hallmark Channel fans. They look at the advertisements for Balsam Hill. This is an all-American audience that you are targeting with these ads. How difficult would it be to make your products here in America, and why would you not consider doing it?
So we actually worked on this starting in 2019, looking at how could we change how artificial trees are made in the United States. And we got to a point where a tree that we would sell today for $800, we think we might be able to make it in the United States with automation. And I think we need to sell it around $3,000. And I just don't think that Americans are willing to pay for that. We've tried all sorts of different ways. We'll continue to look for it. But there's so much labor that goes into making a handcrafted tree that it's so hard to do it. Even we've looked at robots, all those different things.
$3,000.
And I know that the issue of even your decor and the ornaments and things like that, you could potentially have tariffs on depending on where they're coming from in the world. Just one more question. A lot of other manufacturers in textiles, for instance, went to Vietnam to try to avoid the whole tariff situation. If not the United States, could you go to another country that has a more favored trade status and make the trees there?
Yes, we could move trees. The thing with moving trees versus cut sew trim, which is in apparel, is that it's very capital intensive. We have equipment that's $5 million, the size of a football field for one machine. And so that's not something you can pick up and move it overnight. So maybe a phased in approach could be more beneficial. Some pre-lit tree production since 2019 has moved to Cambodia. Some has moved to Indonesia. We're part of that trend, but it's not something we can pick up and do overnight just because of the sheer capital. I mean, these plants can cost $50, $100 million to build a new one. And so even if you can move some of the equipment, it's a big endeavor, and we need certainty as to what's going to remain as a most favored nation location, because otherwise, like we invested in Mexico, but now we might have a 25% tariff. It's just really hard as a business owner to make a rational investment when you just don't know what's coming next.